Tell me Thanks for joining us. This is Sarah Jones with the Politicus Pod, and joining me to talk about my visit to the Tree of Life Synagogue is Politicus USA's editor-in-chief, Jason Eastley. Thanks for joining me, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
I just finished writing about this, and I really wanted to talk about this with our readers because for me it was so moving, and it really changed the way that I'm viewing the midterms and the long-term impact of this sort of scourge of Trump. We've been inundated by relentless, vitriolic, outrageous hate, and it's really hard to unplug from all of that and find our own center. And something we talked a lot about during the Obama years was his ability to motivate people with hope. And I was hoping that hope is always a thing, that you could explain to our listeners the importance and the impact of hope on elections and on democracy itself. I think that part of what we're seeing in the Democratic base and even in independents and in general population is that Trump has depressed people and he makes them feel powerless, which is part of his goal, because the more powerless people feel, the less likely they are to participate in democracy. You're still doing tech things, so I'm going to talk a little bit about.
I can talk while I do this.
Oh, okay, because I could just talk by myself. I mean,
yeah, you can.
No, I would like
why don't you set up a little bit about how you came to go to the synagogue and give us.
We live outside of Pittsburgh. We live in, it's sort of Trump country here, but we're just minutes away, really like 45 minutes away, maybe an hour from Squirrel Hill, which is a part of Pittsburgh, and that's where the synagogue is. And I wanted to go to the synagogue and just see, because the media has kind of dropped this story now, and to me this story has really just begun, and I don't think that we should stop talking about this. I think we need to talk about this every day because we need to change what's wrong with our country. We need to change why this happened. I think this was an alarm that can't be forgotten. And so I wanted to see, how are people responding to this? What is the reaction? How are people, are they angry? Are they, because I was expecting, and I wrote about this, I was expecting horror and grief and sadness and powerlessness. But the first thing that I found, and what overwhelmed me so much, was I literally walked up to the first area where people have left flowers and cards, and I felt so much love. And I wanted everyone to know that, because it sounds so trite to say that love is stronger than hate, but it really is. That's what they're so afraid of. Republicans are afraid that we're all going to not be divided anymore, that we're going to love one another, because if we did that, we would be so strong, we would be unstoppable as a democracy. There were people from all walks of life, all religions, and all races. They were all there to show respect, to be a force of good. And as I walked up to the first area, I ran into a man who I didn't even ask him, to start a dialogue, and he just turned to me, and I want to tell you what he said to me. He knew the two brothers, Cecil and David Rosenthal, who were slaughtered in the synagogue by this racist anti-Semite. And he said to me, Donald Trump is to blame for this. Donald Trump brought the evil out in the world, taking babies away from their mothers. As soon as he got into office, the KKK started recruiting kids. This is Donald Trump's fault. And then he went on to tell me that there are more good people than bad people, and you'll see in this election people who are seeing what this man is all about. They know what they're dealing with now. And that was the thing that I found over and over again, that people were saying they now know, and the world now knows what we're dealing with, because this is as close, I don't even know if I need to draw a line between this or not, but this is very Nazi, what happened in this synagogue. It doesn't just echo Nazi Germany. I think it's unfair and almost cowardice to say that, to not make that comparison and to not see that that's what's happening, and that is evil. And we are dealing with that in this country now, whether you believe in evil as a religious force or just bad people who are using division to gain power, which has been going on since mankind existed. But no matter how you look at it, people are seeing what Donald Trump is all about. So I wanted to share this sort of huge love that I saw at the synagogue. I wanted to share that with everyone because these last few years have been just horrific, and everyone I know who cares about this country is depressed right now. They're nervous about this election, but overall, I mean, to see these horrible things happening over and over again and Republicans not doing anything about it, they refuse to change the gun culture, they refuse to call out the white supremacists in their own party. It's taken them so much to even say anything about Steve King, and meanwhile they have number 3 Republican in the House is someone who has stood up for white supremacists. I mean,
Steve Scalise?
Yeah, he spoke at a white supremacist rally. I mean, this is what this party is. Everyone has to come out and vote, and they have to have hope to come out and vote. That's what I want you to explain. Why Obama's message of hope was so powerful, and it always is. When you look throughout history, when people feel hope, they are engaged.
It goes sort of beyond just the generic hope, because we all associate now with this generation hope with Obama, hope and change. It's sort of the slogan, but it goes back as far as Franklin Roosevelt and the Great Depression, and the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I mean, optimism, especially in times of crisis, optimism wins. People are fundamentally optimistic. They fundamentally believe in the good and the power to overcome in this country. That's why hate and division, it works within, in the political science context. It will work in the political science context whenever it is paired with something that depresses people from engagement. And it's funny because it's sort of a chicken and egg scenario, because what Trump does, fear and division, he's designed to depress people from engaging. He wants people to tune out and turn off and not pay attention anymore. Because when you stop paying attention, his little 25% of the country is able to win. And that's the key message. Hope is basically a fundamental, it's shown over and over again in political advertising. Positive ads are always more effective than negative ads. It's a sort of a dual threat kind of situation if you're running a campaign. Negative ads are very effective in the short term, but negative ads are subject to the law of diminishing returns, to the point where they eventually backfire on the campaigns that issue them, set them out if they do too many. So you always see campaigns walking the line between negative ads and positive ads. And then, negative, we use negative to define our opponent, positive to build ourselves up. That's campaign 101. But, you'll see what happens in any election where both campaigns are excessively negative towards the other. Voter turnout goes down. People want to be inspired. They want to believe in something better and enthused and excited.
Well, right now we have Abrams in Georgia, Gillum in Florida, O'Rourke in Texas, and many, many more. I'm not trying to just single those out, but those are the people whose positive message has really broken through these negative ads that Republicans are trying to throw at them. And I think that their message has been one of unity, and that's again what I saw at the synagogue. And it isn't just unity in the time of crisis, but it was unity about what we all know what is going on here. We're on to this game of division, and we're not going to fall for it anymore. And I think that is so powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think there was a period of time where people looked at Trump, especially during the campaign. He did a really good job, and the media helped him, of equating himself and Hillary Clinton. Trump never said he was better than Hillary Clinton. He just tried to lower Hillary Clinton to where he is, so that people, again, would get depressed, turn off, tune out. And so, the big problem there is now he won. He's the focus of everything, and people are seeing him literally for what the man you quoted from the synagogue told you in the synagogue. They're seeing him for what he is.
And so his message isn't resonating as much, is it? I mean, his negative messages, he's still putting them out. He's getting more and more desperate. So his messages are getting worse. I mean, he keeps lowering the bar every day. And I think that when we see the culture of outrage that we have on the left, which is perfectly legitimate, frankly, I feel it myself, but that is something that is prone to burnout, and it isn't effective in countering this stuff, because what we have to have is an alternative that gets people motivated.
Yeah, when you're the president, you can't hide. You can't blame someone else. The Trump campaign survived based on whatever happened to them. The Russians would put out something else about Hillary Clinton. I say the Russians because that's exactly what happened. That's not a conspiracy. Access Hollywood tape, boom, there's John Podesta's emails. So...
And he had a lot of help from the media who
chased the shiny object.
And not just that. I honestly, I mean, I've been looking at this stuff now. I look at it every day when I put stuff in our system to run, and I choose what to run from Reuters. And it's incredible to me how the narrative is constantly spun in his direction. And I don't say that as a conspiracy. It actually shocks me. I wouldn't think that news outlets would be so blatant about this stuff, but every photo that we have of his rallies is all the great, they're taken from an angle as if the campaign took them.
You know, I have a thought about that, and we haven't really investigated this yet, but remember, he restricted where cameras could shoot him during the campaign.
Right.
I wonder if he's restricting where cameras can photograph him during these rallies.
Yeah, because they're only getting so that it looks like it's all the color-coordinated people with all the signs, and it looks like he's got this huge rally, and it turns out he doesn't. And you wrote about this yesterday. He threw a big fit because he had a rally with the pool estimated 1,000 people. Meanwhile, Obama had a rally, same time, 4,000 people. Next thing we know, in our inbox, we have a message from the White House press saying that passed on through the pool reporter, claiming that they counted from their door counter for an outside rally where you don't have a door counter. They counted 4,000 people. Exact same number.
Yeah, ironically, it was the exact same crowd that Obama drew.
I think they even said more than 4,000.
Yeah, they wanted to go, we had more than Obama. Which, you know, if these people wouldn't have lied about the inauguration crowd size, if they haven't lied about crowd sizes, ratings, and everything else from the very moment he took office, then people might be willing to say, well, that's debatable. But, you know, they're lying.
Yeah.
And you can't really give
the poll reporter has never lied to us about the size of a rally. The White House constantly lies to us about this.
Poll reporters have no motivation to lie. It's not their job, contrary to what Trump says.
Right.
It's not their job to lie. They don't want to lie.
They have no investment in that. Why would they care?
Yeah,
I don't think, I mean, when they're sitting there covering a Trump rally, they're not thinking about an Obama rally. They're doing their job there. They're not all over the place comparing things, trying to make everything fair. They're not doing any of that stuff.
We can say that from our own experience. When you're at these live events, you're only focused on getting the story.
I mean, really covering these things live is in my experience, something I hate doing, and I hope I never have to do it again.
That's where we do. You know, I like the whole.
I know you like it. I can't stand it. There's too many people, and I can't think about what I want to write. But everybody has their own feeling about that. But when I covered Obama with the White House press pool, it was, you can't get up to go to the bathroom. You can't do anything because the Secret Service locks everything down. And so you're stuck there in this certain place. You're not sitting there, you know, dealing with motivations. You're thinking about how you can get some water and how you can use the bathroom after you post your story.
It's a real hassle.
After you file your story. You know?
I was nailed into a seating area for 5 hours the last night of the Democratic Convention.
Yeah.
I was back in a corner and nailed into an area for 5 hours in Philadelphia.
So these people don't have an agenda. So, but what I want to bring...
But it explains why they are cranky.
It does explain why the pool is cranky, and I think people should understand that, because it is kind of a tough job. So, to bring this back to this election, I am not seeing, and I always have to make sure I'm not being hopeful, but in 2016 in the lead up to the election, I didn't feel any hope. What I felt was, get this over and get Hillary Clinton in office. I just want this over. It's so horrible. Every day was a